In this video, you're going to see a behind-the-scenes discussion with Gregory Ward of Smart Ledger, one of the most innovative and creative, developers and business minds in the overall Bitcoin space. And we discuss some of the how he got started in the in law, and how he ended up getting into certain legal situations, including driving without a license, and how he really evolved in that movement of what he calls the freedom movement. And then I also give you my story on where I got started as a non-lawyer and perspective and kind of background on that. And then in addition, Gregory Ward also talks about how he met Jacquie Figg. Now, Jacquie Figg was a dear friend of ours that passed away in 2021 and held a Tuesday night meeting called the IDP group. It was IDP Solutions, and had some incredible people on there. And Jacquie was just a leader and innovator in the law area. And he actually tells a story about how he met with her after she put out a video online about how woman drives without a driver's license in California. How does she do it? And so he shares the story about how he met with her and then ended up hosting these calls every single week. And his experience in trust law, and gives a lot of background on this entire, on the entire framework. And he and I really get into good discussion. Now, also cool part about the video is it's actually a behind the scenes shot at where we were on the very last day of the London Blockchain Conference. So you'll see Smilia in the background. You'll see 1369 BSV Scott. You'll see Bitcoin Ben, Bernhard from Centi, and other people in the background that are all kind of having this cool conversation with Gregory Ward as I'm filming all these other people. So it's a cool shot. Check it out. Stay to the end, and I'll see you at the top.
When I would approach these people, and everybody from the prosecution's office, I became friends with these people in the sense of, like, I was not afraid of the outcome. I was just really running towards freedom. And it turned out that it actually panned out fairly well in the sense of that I had the judge treat me with a fair amount of respect, in the sense of, like, they try to railroad me from the beginning, right? You don't agree that he has authority. Like, oh, back up. I said, I'm challenging personal jurisdiction, right? Authority has nothing to do with this, right? So it was going down this route of contract law, what acquiescence to the contract law, privileges, right? Rights turn into privileges, and where we as a people, everything from 1776, where we so-called threw off the King of England, and we had a way for us to examine what happened from that day through the contracts and the acquiescence and the offerings and the privileges and all these things, the money system, 14th Amendment, all the way through today. How do we get where we are today, and what were the jurisdictional changes that happened in our relationship to our rights?
When do you say expat?
2011, I discovered trust law, and like I said, I threw away my commercial contracts at that time. And still, you're pushing against these things. So they'll oftentimes never tell you, "Good job, you did the right thing." We agree. You're no longer part of the system. And I was finding things, right? I remember they're finding a letter to. I'll have to pull it out at some point and remember exactly who it was to, but it was basically from a governor to maybe a Department of Motor Vehicles or something. I can't remember who it was, but they said there are going to be people who you're going to pull over. They're not going to have licenses, but some of these people have done it correctly. They've dissociated themselves contractually from the commercial system, and therefore let them go, right? But let us know when you come in contact.
Letter from who?
This was. I'll have to go back and find it. I'll send it over to you. But it was a governor of a state to, let's say, a chief of police or like DMV. It was a combination of these guys who are communicating, saying, "Look, you're going to come into these freedom movement people. You're going to come across some of these guys. Some of them actually have gone through the correct processes to remove their obligations to the state, right? To the commercial code, to the DMV, right? To the rules of the road, all these things." Okay, these guys are acknowledging it, but still, at the same time, the police on the side of the road mostly didn't know. They would treat you terribly, and so all these different things. I'm watching guys. I watched the sovereign citizen movement come, and then I watched the sovereign citizen being categorized as domestic terrorists. I watched that, you along with me, I'm sure. We watched it like, well, and if you came in under Jacquie Figg, So 2011, fast forward 2018, the next time, as soon as this next time happened, I said, okay, I need to go back deep again. And I had already removed my license. I mean, I cut off my driver's license, all these things. So that one of the first things I started researching was that again. Came across Jacquie Figg, Minivan Jack interview, says, the woman who drives without a license and will teach you how. I researched and found her, and I called her directly, and we became best friends. I mean, like very good friends from day one. And I really, I mean, from 2018, her and I mean, she was leader of that group. She was the most charismatic, wonderful person you'll ever meet, you know, as you know. Her and I held a weekly phone call, yeah, whatever you call it, a Zoom call. Yep, I was a part of that.
You were part of the Tuesday night call?
I've got the history of those calls.
What year were you there in the Tuesday night calls?
Yeah.
What year was that? 2019?
2018 through the day she passed away.
You were a part of that?
Yeah. Well, maybe, okay, let me rephrase that. When I got the call, who called me?
Well, I was a part of it too, so...
Do you know Moxie?
Yeah.
Okay, so Moxie is my very good friend. Moxie and I were probably, of a few of us who like, you know, I mean, there were some wild kids. There were some wild guys out there who were, the second somebody come on and say, I got this issue, I'm about to get thrown in jail, I'm going to court next Monday, and they say, what you need, and they'd be the quickest to like shout out, you need to do this, 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 and this. And I think that Moxie, Jacquie, myself, had a little bit more level head about like, I mean, what's going on in the system and what's happening.
Did you go by your actual name, Gregory Ward?
I think at that time I did. Yeah. And again, so 2018 is when her and I met. I started. I mean, her and I researched a whole heap of different things. But again, she was leading that movement at that time. You know, I mean, there were people who were surrounding her in every direction. She was doing incredible things. But I was just very good friends with her, and because I was so involved, I became kind of like, I don't know. I mean, just one of her confidants, I guess, or one of her friends that we would research together, and I would host it sometimes. You know what I mean? But it was just she'd host those Tuesday night meetings on Zoom. I've got, like I said, I've got a Google Drive with
all the recordings,
all those recordings still. Moxie and I talk, you know, every other month.
What about? Do you remember Salam?
Salam, I'm friends with. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's my buddy, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Salam hit me up a couple of months ago. We were talking about Bitcoin actually. Yeah.
Well, it's probably because of me. Salam and I have a mastermind, a law mastermind. That's all the top legal.
Nah.
All the top legal minds in Northern California.
Okay.
Like, you know, the top freaking legal. Just Salam's one of them. And so we meet I've been doing it every Sunday. It's a private group that we don't talk about. But I started that in like 2019, and Salam's part of it. So I'll have to tell Salam, and we'll have to have you on the Sunday group as well, because you know, these guys are savvy, you know. So it's most of the stuff we do on Sunday is courtroom. You know, we're just experienced litigators. So, you know, we've been through all the court. We've been won and lost lots of court cases ourselves. So it helps to.
Well, I was wondering, you know, I mean, when you first jumped on some of the discussing some of the court case, you were speaking from a law perspective, and so I was curious, you know, I mean, where you're coming from, whether you were a lawyer or, you know, what your background was.
Non-lawyer.
Okay.
California has a term called non-lawyer in the rules of court, which is basically not an attorney, not a paralegal, strictly a non-lawyer who, you know, is categorized in its own little separate categorization under the state bar rules and the rules of court, which can operate not out there, you know, I'm giving legal advice and all those things, but just operate, you know, most of the time with attorneys, oftentimes consulting. You know, it's just a lot of times I spend with law firm working in the background, and I've done a lot of that. So just strictly a non-lawyer, which because I understand the procedures, the rules, the way to move the court, the way to do, you know, discovery motions for summary judgment. I'm proud to say that I've been able to succeed on summary judgment motions now. That's how I got started, is losing on a summary judgment, you know. And so once I got sued and lost on a summary judgment, it was so devastating, because I thought, like,
How did they beat me and we never had trial? Like I never got my day in court, you know? I mean, I was so disturbed by that, and I felt like I got bamboozled, and I was destined to figure that out. How did that lawyer do that? Is that legal?
Right. Well, like,
motion for summary judgment. He kicked my ass, and I never got a chance.
Yeah.
Like, never got a trial. Where's my trial? I asked for a trial by jury, right? And they said, "Oh, it's the motion for summary judgment, pal. There ain't no trial. You're done." Where's my jury? I was like, this is an outrage, you know. And of course, at the beginning, that was my first exposure to really losing. And so by doing that, I was like, I got to figure this out. And so I that was my, you know.
So that was pre-Jackie.
That was right around. I'd already met Jackie before that. Actually, I think I lost the summary judgment motion around 2019.
Okay.
So I had met Jackie in 2018.
Yeah. I mean, we had to have been like in the same room together.
I mean, I wasn't too outspoken. I wasn't outspoken at all until I would say, you know, right around when she died is right when I finally started talking out. So, and I was like her last student. I went down there, met her in person, her and Richard. Richard and I are best. I don't know if you're Richard Mendez or not. Very, very important guy. That he and I Richard's very,
together.
very important. Very big deal. And that's the guy that Jackie went to for everything. For like that's her guru.
Okay.
You know. So Richard and her started a little thing called David versus Goliath right when she was right before she died, and that was my thing because I wanted to learn from Richard.
Yeah.